then the rest of your instructors will continue to work with you. Oh, thank you, Susan. I'm sure you're the one that recorded because I always forget to. Anyways, sorry, for citing sources and references throughout the program and the process. Each course does have what we call a HAT, which is the Hallmark Assessment Task. That is your final project in any courses. For 300 or 307, that will be your final credit for prior learning portfolio with all the documentation pieces and everything that you put together there. Each one of your courses will have one of those final projects, and a lot of them are more task-based or kind of real-world work-based there. Folio Tech is the system that we use to store all of your HAT projects. It is free for students to use, and again, it's a place where you will build your Plaid portfolio, as well as upload those projects throughout the program. Any questions or things thus far? I know that's a lot, and you guys will get a copy of these slides. All right, Matt is on his way. There he is. Hello, Matt.
Hi, everybody.
I was working my way very sadly through the terms and acronyms.
Well, I just want to apologize to everyone, but I also want a little bit of grace. And that is what we try to do as faculty members when you join this program too, because sometimes you got to fight your 4-year-old to have a grilled cheese so that he has food in his body and doesn't cry to you in the middle of the night saying, I'm hungry. So that is the reason for me being here at 7:08 instead of 7 p.m. So
I hope you won that battle. I hope he ate something.
I would say that I half won the battle. We tried to bribe him with money. I'm sure many of you on this call have gone through that same process, but I definitely didn't conquer my son. He is a strong will, and I'm too old for this. So if you've ever watched Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, there's the old cop and he's getting towards retirement and he always says, I'm getting too old for this stuff. And he doesn't say stuff. And a lot of times at 46 with a 4-year-old, it's like, I'm getting too old for this stuff. But I digress. I'm so excited everybody's here. I'm sorry for being late, but I'm so excited to tell you about PLA because it is the game changer for our program and probably a big part of the reason that some of you join this program, because we want to honor and value what you've done within your work life for academic credit. And it's just that, credit for prior learning. So this college level and credit worthy learning that you've had in your life and translating that into academic credit. Prior learning assessment is oftentimes used, but the industry is kind of moving towards CPL. The PLAD, or Prior Learning Assessment Documents, is in essence your portfolio and the way that we use an acronym to wrap up all the pieces and parts that you put together. Those pieces and parts include occupational experience and training. Of course, experience is a bit more abstract. And Roger Buskell, Professor Buskell, is going to talk to you a little bit about how those are unique and different. But the training is magical because it is oftentimes seat-based or hour-based. So we try to look at those courses taken through non-accredited institutions or continuing education on the job training, something you may have a record for within your organization. And we try to translate that based upon the hours of seat time or hours of teaching time and translate that into academic credit. ONET, which you'll hear more about later, is the occupational network. And basically that is a database for all the jobs that basically exist in our economy. And it shows you a deep understanding of some of the knowledge, skills, and abilities within those roles. A job description, job zones, so level of education required, and then also the average salary. We use that as a kind of database of language for you to draw upon as you start to develop some of your narrative about some of your experiential learning in the workplace. So as you know, I walked away from grilled cheese and now I'm talking about this. I said this a lot of times. You can kind of hear it in the way that I say it, but we want to help you navigate this so that it's kind of second nature for you to talk about what you've done and how you've evolved into who you are as a working professional in a very articulate manner. We think that part of the value and the magic of this program is putting some common and new vernacular language to some of the expertise that you have so that you can really advance your career as a result of tapping into some new knowledge, but also kind of conceptualizing the knowledge that you've built over the time of your career. Moving forward in the APA piece, that is just our style guide for writing. It's an academic format for writing, the American Psychological Association. It is the scary thing that we have to follow in academics, but we have templates and guides to help you navigate that process of developing papers that follow those academic guidelines. Next is the Hallmark assessment task, and that is in essence the main project in each course. So each class that you have has a Hallmark assessment task, and it's just the major project, but you'll have an amazing amount of guidance from each faculty member that you have throughout your time in the program. And last but not least, on number 9 is Folio Tech, and that is really a repository or a database where we store your projects and we do broad-based evaluation of those as a college of education to make sure that we're meeting standards. So that is a lot of word soup, and just know you don't have to memorize any of that. You're not getting quizzed, but it's just an opening to what you're going to walk into and some of the language that we're going to use and acronyms to describe what you all will be going through. So the next slide there. The student transfer evaluation is, in essence, all the classes you've taken from accredited institution, and then the office does an articulation of exactly what those count for at the university. So you'll know with your advisor exactly what you've got. And if for some reason the university doesn't necessarily love what you've done in another institution, just know that we in the program will absolutely love everything you've done at any institution to try and pull that in for academic credit. So if sometimes when you do that evaluation, you didn't get all the credits that you thought you would, don't worry. We're going back for those suckers. We're going to get all those credits to make sure that you maximize your path to degree as more efficient and quicker. The Joint Services Transcript is for military. That is for all military personnel that does training. And basically that is a record of your experience and your training. And we use that for translation to academic credit as well. As I mentioned with ONET, I said KSA, or knowledge, skills, and abilities. And that's just a phrase that we use to kind of encapsulate some of the writing that you're going to generate from some of the experiential learning models. CCAF is Community College of the Air Force transcript. Work specialization credit is, in essence, the total number you're getting for your PLAD or portfolio submission. Next, for Dr. McKinley, she has STRUT for healthcare leadership students. So students in healthcare leadership will operate on a different learning management system called STRUT, and you're going to learn a little more about that towards the end of this. And last but not least, lower and upper level learning is, in essence, freshman, sophomore classes, junior, senior level classes. So lower level, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, are upper level. Next slide. So big picture, you will be able to get between 9 and 48 college credit hours. And we are in the business of working smarter, not harder. So we are committed to this idea that you will only do the work necessary for the gap that exists. So if you have a ton of academic credit, you're going to have a smaller portfolio. Class will be easy for you. If you have less academic credit, we're going to leverage and maximize every bit of work-related knowledge that will translate to academic credit and maximize that up to the 48 hours. If you don't have a lot of academic credit and you're going to go after those 48 hours, know that this is a hard process, but you've got navigators and guides to help you to the finish line. Every piece and part that you put together and the effort that you put in translates to money saved. So you can save up to $20,000 by just doing this class and getting those credits for free. So every 3 credit hours that you get is like $1,500 you don't have to pay to this institution. We are recording, so I'm not going to say too much about the institution as a whole being mad at us giving you these credits or honoring these credits, but they're not always happy that we're trying to discount your path to graduation. But we want you to save as much money as humanly possible by honoring and valuing what you've done within your work world. And we're going to do that via these worksheet essays and a really guided process with a life learning narrative, with the training that you've done, with experiential learning that's more abstract, and then wrapping all that up with supporting documentation that really demonstrates that you've met the criteria and you've done the things that have established a set of learning outcomes. Excuse me, next slide. So you gather stuff and know that you don't have to have the I Love Me book of all of your experiences together on day one of class. But if you can think about some of those things that you've done and start to pull those together now, unofficial transcripts, your record at UPS of work, your continuing education units, your joint services training, any of that stuff, start to pull it together. Think about where it is, go to your storage unit, go to your attic, wherever it is, find that. If it's online in some sort of online record, that's great. If it's in files, start to look through some of those files. You will have a process of updating your resume, but it'll be more of a list view resume, some items that you've done within job descriptions as well as roles. And just think about those things that you've done over the past 10 plus years of your career. If it's not 10 years of your career, probably not as eligible for as many credits. If it's 30 years of your career, you've got tons of things that you can draw from. We want to pull from the top of your brain some of the things that matter and that are of value for academic credit, and we want to make those as accessible as possible. So start the process, and that's probably why really a big main reason we're doing this is truly just to kind of get you thinking about what you've got and what you can access. Next slide. So know that college writing is scary, but you don't have to worry about it so much because you have guides on this call and in every single class that provide templates that lay things out for you, that create some remove some pain and suffering that you would have to do to read about how to develop academic papers via style guides and American Psychological Association. So don't worry about that so much. We want to create some uniformity and consistency and make sure you do proper citations, but we have guides for that. And we're going to make it as simple and short as possible so that you can help ease into an academic writing framework without a lot of pain and suffering. Next slide. So now I'm going to pass it to Roger. But again, I want to tell you that sometimes when you're an old dad, you'll try to bribe your kids to eat grilled cheese, and you suffer and you fail, and then you're late to meetings. So I apologize for being a little late this evening. I'm really pumped that each and every one of you is in the program. Know that we've got your back. We are here to make sure that you get to your end goal, and that's graduation. Your next goal, and that is to move forward in life and have a good life via this education. And we have got your back to find whatever the next phase is for you going forward. So have a great night, and it's all you, Roger.
All right, thank you, Matt. I think I'm going to fix me a grilled cheese sandwich after this session is over. You're making me hungry. Like I say, Roger Buskill. I'm actually a product of this degree program. I went through this program in the early 90s, so believe me, I know exactly what you're going to be going through when you take this course and when you take this program, as a matter of fact. But what I want to do is show you a little bit about the platform that you're going to use in order to complete the assignments and all of these things. Some things that Matt has already talked about. Just looking at the left pane, those are links that open up other pages. So there'll be a syllabus that when you click there, there'll be a syllabus that you'll download. faculty information. There'll be a little bit about the instructor. Announcements, typically the instructor will have at least one announcement at the beginning of the week and possibly more, just to give you a bit more information on what's expected for that week for those lessons. There's going to be an assignment due date chart somewhere. It could be right here off the main page, but it'll definitely be at least in your syllabus, if not other places on the Blackboard site. I want to skip over lesson materials right now because I'm going to go back to that. Matt mentioned Folio Tech. This is where you would access the Folio Tech, but also you're gonna the plan that you will develop. You'll be using Folio Tech for that also, and there'll be you develop that through a template, so you don't have to create anything. You just, after you create that template, it's more filling in the blanks and uploading of files, and then. Most instructors have some type of communication medium they use for maybe private consultations or maybe weekly check-ins that it would be voluntary. And I happen to use Microsoft Teams. I think some of the others faculty also, but there's others like Collaborate. But there's a lot of ways that we want to communicate with you, maybe outside of Blackboard. Most of our classes are online, so we don't want you to feel lost out there. So there's usually ways that we can talk, whether it's just simply on the phone or through some of these other communication mediums. There's an entry there called a blog. That's simply an acronym for web log. Matt talked about the hats. That's actually a paper that you will write, an autobiography and a resume. We're actually going to upload that to this blog, and your fellow students are going to critique that, and you're going to critique theirs. So what happens is that gives you a chance to use a different part of your brain. You've written yours and you've gone through that process, but now you have to know a little bit about what's going on because you're going to critique other students. So now what I want to do is go back and go through the actual lesson materials, not all of them, but give you a sampling of what you're going to be looking at. So there's 12 lessons typically. It lists the first 6 right here, but it's the same 12 lessons whether you take it in an 8-week format or the 16-week format or even the 10-week format that we offer in the summer. It's still 12 lessons. So obviously if you're in the 8-week format, there might be a couple of lessons per week. If you're in the 16-week version, there might be some of the sessions that would span over 2 weeks to give you more time to do some of the work there. But now what I want to do now is click into and look at a particular lesson. So this is lesson 1. So when you click into lesson 1, this is the sample. This is what you're going to see. Every instructor is going to be using the same lesson plan, and they're all laid out exactly the same way. So you're going to see an overview that gives the objectives, the overview, the objectives, the assigned readings. Our textbook, the author's name is Colvin, and it goes through the entire prior learning assessment processes. All of our this class is based actually on that book. And then there's going to be some type of a lecture. You can download the PowerPoint file and go through it that way, reading it through the notes pages, or you can typically watch a video, which is simply a voiceover of that PowerPoint. So whatever you're most comfortable with there. Okay, so let's look at the next slide to look at the rest of the lesson. You're going to have a discussion board most every week. So that's going to typically expand on what you're studying that week. There will be a discussion board. You would post your entry to the discussion board and then make a reply to a couple of other students' posts. So what would happen at the end of the semester, there will be an entire body of knowledge that your class has produced based on those discussion boards, because they're all going to be a little bit different to the responses that you make and the interaction that you have. And then finally, what's really important is you're going to have graded assignments most every lesson. In this case, there's 2 of them in lesson 1, a scavenger hunt and a student information sheet. You'll notice there in blue text. Well, the blue text is actually the link that you would click to upload the actual assignment. But if you'll notice on the scavenger hunt, there's a file to download. Well, what you would do is download that file, and it's like any other scavenger hunt. You go out and search around Blackboard, ULink, syllabus, all these types of things, so that we can assure that you're going to look at those so that you can answer those questions properly on the scavenger hunt. When you complete that, you want to go back to this screen and actually upload it to the scavenger hunt file. And then the same thing for the student information sheet. You would download that, and that's just personal information, not too personal, but name and address and telephone numbers, those types of things that you would have so that the instructor can maybe get with you on a phone call if you haven't heard from you for a while, those types of things. But yeah, so that's how the lessons are laid out, and they're all laid out exactly the same way in every single lesson. All the instructors use this same platform. So I think that's my last slide. Yes, so we'll let Dr. McKinley take over now.
Sure. So like I mentioned earlier, Elizabeth Krause is the instructor for Lead 307, which is the PLA class for healthcare leadership specific students. So for you guys, this section will apply to you. Elizabeth couldn't join us tonight, but again, she is super and has been doing this for a while. So she's great, a great resource for students. This screenshot is the Strut learning platform that Dr. Bergman mentioned earlier. All of our classes in that program will be in Strut. Since they are competency-based, this learning management system just handles that a little bit better than Blackboard. So for those students who are in 307, all of your course materials will be in Strut. As of right now, you should have gotten today login information from your advisor for healthcare leadership. That's Amber Yoakum. There's also a link to Strut in the Blackboard organization. So for this course specifically, we straddle that Blackboard Strut line a little bit just for ease of record keeping, since you will need your portfolio a little bit later in the program. So like I said, all of the course materials, the reading, the assignment sheets that Roger mentioned, the information sheet and the scavenger hunt, all of that course content is in Strut. Your hat materials, so specifically your plaid portfolio and things you will need for that, will be uploaded into Blackboard. And that is, again, like I said, just because Blackboard is a better repository, it's accessible to you as a student. So you'll have all of that documentation in one place. These are, again, a couple screenshots from the Strut Learning platform. Within each module, there are the same weekly assignments, the same lectures, the same readings that you'll find in 307. Since the healthcare leadership program is more student paced rather than specific weekly lesson paced, there are weekly check-ins with your instructors. All of that communication is done through Strut. So you'll see a check-in section like this, and that will keep a thread of your conversations with your instructor throughout the entire term. So you can go back and reference things that were said and find pieces of the conversation. It doesn't live in 15 emails. It's kind of all right here for you. And just like any other course, instructors should get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. All right, so this looks very similar to the section that Roger showed you just a few minutes ago. There are a few different sections here. The most important tabs, like I said, are the ones that are circled in the Prepare Plaid tab. You'll find lesson materials, resources for preparing that portfolio. You'll also find drop boxes to submit your work to your instructor. Again, all of that final portfolio piece will be submitted here. The Submit Plaid tab has a link to the submission portal, which is that folio tech system that we mentioned earlier. In healthcare leadership, we use that a little bit less, so you won't need it every course, but you will put your final portfolio there. And then the My Grades tab will allow you to review any feedback that's provided by your instructor throughout that process. All right, and that wraps up the specific instructions for healthcare leadership students. So I'm going to turn it over to Tammy for some tips.
Hi, as I said earlier, I'm Tammy Albers, and I am a graduate of this program, as well as a former employee of the College of Education for 11 and a half years. I understand the nerves and excitement that you're feeling because I've walked in your shoes. I'm going to give you 3 quick tips to make your journey easier. The first one is to establish a support system. So that can be family, friends, coworkers, whoever it may be, but begin communicating with them and tell them how they can help you, because as working adults, we juggle many hats, and starting next week, you're going to add another hat to the juggle. So just get your support system set up early. The second tip is get to know your fellow students. More than likely, you're going to go through this program, and at least a couple of the students are going to be in almost every class you take. So I encourage you to exchange information, because as instructors, we're always here to help, but sometimes a perspective of another student can be helpful as well, just to make sure you've got the concept down pat. And then 3, communicate, communicate, and communicate more. The program supports adult learners, and we want you to succeed, and we will champion you all the way through, but we can't help you if we don't know what you need. Life happens and we can't control it. So if you need help with an assignment, an extension on an assignment because something happened, just let us know. Let us know as soon as possible and keep us informed, and we're more than willing to work with you. And then I would also encourage you, if your instructor offers office hours, attend those office hours. I set up office hours twice a week for an hour each time. And I do like one evening and then one on the weekend morning. And that just lets people with different schedules, be able to access me. Some people just come by to ask a quick question. Some people want to talk about the big picture of the course, different things. So I encourage you. That's why we're here. That's why we set up the office hours, is we want to help you and be as much of a support as we can. So good luck starting next week.
Excellent. Thank you, Tammy. I mentioned earlier, Janet Holliday is not able to be here tonight. So Roger, our other military expert, has volunteered to step in and share a little bit more about the military specific documentation.
Well, my military was 69 to 73. I guess that still counts.
You don't need to say that out loud.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about it. So the people that are in the military, it kind of depends, but might have a little bit easier route for documenting their prior training and prior experience, because for your prior training, you can rely on your joint services transcript for transfer evaluation. So if you're in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, you're going to have that JST. And what it does, you will be able to look at that, and it will verify not only the number of credit hours that you could request for it, but also the level of that credit. So you would need to download that copy of your JST and have it ready. And then you'll also need your student transfer evaluation. If you have transferred college credit to UofL, you're going to have an STE. So you'll need that also. But if the people military that's in the Air Force, it's very similar. You'll rely on your community college of the Air Force transcript, but it has the same type of information. So you want to make sure that you download that transcript, because you're going to need that to verify any training that you've had. So in other words, you're going to gather all this documentation for any military training that did not translate. So because if you look at your JST and your community college of the Air Force, you might have some training there that you've had that has not been evaluated. Well, we can still take a look at that and see if we can turn that into college credit also. But there's a little more documentation that's going to be required. The main thing is the length of the training, the number of credit hours, and the level. So those are the things that you would have to investigate if it doesn't already correlate or relate the college credit and level on that particular training. So let's go to the next slide. This is for a job experience. Now, we talked about job training that you will verify through your JST or your community college of the Air Force. So that's one major mechanism of requesting college credit. The other one is through job experience. Typically, lower level positions such as E1 through E5. I wouldn't consider E5 a lower level positions, but as far as documenting for college credit, it probably is. And then there's higher level positions, E6 through E9. Those are more on the upper level. When you get your education plan, it's going to state how many upper level and lower level credits that you could request. And that's through your education plan. So from that, you'll know exactly how many credits that you can go through, lower level or upper level, whether it's training or whether it's job related. So for typically, if you have if you've been on a lower level job for 1 year, you can request 2 lower level college credits for 1 year of work. If you've been on an upper level job for 1 year, you can request 4 credits, college credits for that 1 year of work. For the lower level, you can request up to 48 for a maximum of 48 hours, and for the lower level, upper level, a maximum of 18 hours. So it's a little bit every case, every student has a little bit different story to tell, and that's what really makes this interesting for the instructor also, because we really get to know your background, and we really do act as an extension as an advisor, so that we can help you through this process. Like I said, it's a little bit easier because if you're a student that does not have military, they're going to have a little bit more difficult time in proving that their training and their work experience is college level. So I think that's the last slide. Let's see. Yep. Now we're ready for our student ambassador.
Nope, you're muted, Tyler. Tyler, you're muted.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Super excited for you guys to be in the program. I completed it back in 2019, and I know for me, I had a reason why I wanted to join it in the first place, and I want everybody to kind of take a second and think of the reason why you decided to join this program as well. It could be you want to further your education, and it could be that you want to get a promotion. It could be you wanted to finish something that you weren't able to finish beforehand. Regardless of the reason, the commonality between that is you're not here in this program by accident. And to push that, we all want you to finish. We all are going to root for you to finish, and we're all here to help you along the way. The plaid and the PLA and all the documents. I'm here to kind of set some realistic expectations from a more recent alum. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of strategic thinking, communication, researching, chasing. But it also is going to save you in the long run a lot of time, a lot of money, and for me, and hopefully for you guys too, it's going to give you a huge confidence boost and a lot of motivation. I think for me, the biggest thing that I learned was not only, hey, I can get my degree, I can save time, I can save money and get it done faster, but I learned that a lot of stuff that I've done in life, it's worth something and it counts for something. Because up until I had my degree, it was always the stereotypical, you don't have your degree, you can't do this. You don't have your degree, maybe you should go back and do this before you can move on and do something else. And that may not be for most of you all. That's just my personal experience. But I think everybody has something, again, that they're working towards and a reason why they're working towards that. So a lot of the documents that you're going to be working on, I would say devote a lot of time to it as much as you can. During the week, I would say anywhere from 5 to 7 hours minimum, depending on what you're actually working on. The reason for that is there is a lot that goes into it. I have a couple of examples that I can share with you. So one thing that's kind of talked about, and this is a little jumbled. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep. we
Yes.
can-
So this is the hat. This is the essay that you're putting together that's compiling everything that you're doing. So it's gonna go through a lot of different things. So remember earlier talking about a resume and doing it kind of a list form and what exactly you did, what your roles and responsibilities were. It's also going to help coordinate to ONET and your KSAs. You're gonna write a narrative within it. You're gonna describe your concrete experience, and you're gonna eventually go through, and you're gonna talk about the reflection of why you deserve the credit that you're getting. You'll write essays. You'll write essays for different things like your work specialization, for example, on why you deserve credit for the different things that you've done, whether it be license or military experience. The biggest piece of it is you're telling your story. So when you tell your story of why you wanted to get in the program, what led you to the program, and why you want to finish it, you've got to find some way within this program to tell that story, but and you've got to articulate it a little bit, not just be able to tell it. You want to get your point across. You want to be able to get the most for what you've done out of your life. And again, you want to save as much money and as much time as possible. So when you tell your story, think about that when you're going through all these different things. So for example, like your specialization credit, you may have to chase down some things, and it may seem difficult. Maybe a license that you once had that no longer exists, or maybe you need a letter from a supervisor that you don't have a good contact with, or you don't necessarily talk to anymore. Is it going to be difficult to get a hold of that person or that license or that experience? Probably. Is it worth it to give up on? No, because that again, I think again, it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to save you a lot of money, and again, it's going to be well worth your while. What I'm showing you right now is the specialization credit request. So when I went to go submit my credit request of how many hours that I felt compelled to request and ask for, this is kind of the document and the template that I went through. So that's more of a plug and play on that. But the justification essay is the reason why. So it's going to talk about. So for this, for example, I used to work at a bank, and I had a securities license. So that took into countless hours of studying, as well as rigorous exams that had to be passed for my specific role. So I had to describe the training, the specific learning that entailed, and then I had to, after talking with professors and understanding what was lower level, what was upper level, what that would equate to, and why I deserve that. So there's a lot of different documents that I can go through. I mean, again, it's a whole portfolio of different things. But what I really want you to understand is that it is going to take a lot of time. But again, the benefit of it is so great that it's going to be really hard for you not to do it. And again, you've got a really great support system. I know Dr. Albers or Professor Albers was, I think was actually for my plaid, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Dr. Buskell was my professor for two different courses. And again, I felt like too many questions, emailed too late, because I was, I think, on that ledge at one point, because it seems overwhelming, but it's not. You just have to communicate. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you feel like you're getting close to the ledge, just talk to somebody. Talk to one of your professors. Talk to a fellow student. You also have a whole alumni ambassador mentor circle that is more than happy to answer any questions. That's a team that I'm on that is more recent graduates of this program. And collectively as a unit, we are more than happy to help answer questions and again, just help talk to you a little bit. So that way, at the end of the day, everybody finishes. Sorry, I probably jumped around everywhere. But I do love this program. And again, I think you guys are in great hands, and I'm always here to help if I can.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so that wraps up the content portion of our session tonight. Your instructors, myself, one of our advisors, Amber Yoakum, is on the call. Tyler is here as well. We're happy to hang on and answer any questions that you might have. So currently from the chat, do we get a document or list of examples to determine upper versus lower level credits for occupational experiences?
Yeah, this is Roger. Actually, that's what we use ONET for. That's that Department of Labor database. So you would actually find your job on ONET, and it's going to let you know whether that job was upper level or lower level.
And then we'll also give you some flexibility when you think about some of your training to kind of conceptualize this idea of, was that an entry level training, or did you have building training experiences that resulted in that particular training? So think about it like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior level of training, right? So we're going to try and equate that to how you would ask for credit. And the instructors will help you navigate that decision on specific both experiences via ONET, but also on the training to make sure you're asking for the right level.
Thank you. I do want to highlight, Susan put the link to the Cardinal Ambassadors page in the chat as well. That is a group of program alumni from a variety of fields and a variety of backgrounds, and they are all happy to help chat with you, answer your questions, get you up to speed, really for anything in the program, not just for PLA in this course. So they're a great group to take advantage of as well. Also in the chat, is the work experience limited to paid positions, or do volunteer positions factor in as well?
So as I answered there, we use volunteer experiences. Roger, why don't you expound upon that?
Oh yeah, a lot of you have volunteered. Maybe you're a volunteer. Maybe you're a PTA president for a year. Well, that's definitely a leadership position that you could request credit for. Or if you're in a position of some of the professional organizations, such as I'll put my plug in for SHRM, or I'll put my plug in for Association for Talent Development. Those are, you can serve on boards. That would be considered of a credit for college credit for those types of positions. Also, anything that you can show a leadership for. So yeah, that would be non-paid. That would be voluntary positions that you might have had. Every one of them's might be just a little bit different, but we can certainly look at those and see if we can get you some credit for those. But especially if you've have worked on SHRM or ATD.
Great, thank you. Renee, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, I was just wondering, I had a job and I was an executive assistant, and we went through accreditation, and I took the whole organization through that, but I don't have any proof of that. If I provided like a letter from my former boss, who I'm still friends with, would that be good enough?
Yeah, so you can use the letter as well as even potentially a pay stub or some record of your employment. So it's really about that validation, just confirmation that this has happened, just validating that you have that experience. So yes, you could use that.
Okay, thank you.
To follow up on that from the chat, what do we do about the letters from previous employers if the managers we worked with don't work for that company anymore?
You can either use someone that still is at the company, or use the manager that was previously there, demonstrating his or her experience and time frame that they were there. So
yeah, now this is Roger again. Like I say, that it's verifying that you've had that training or had that job, and an acquaintance like that you have worked with we will take that on faith, except they need to provide their contact information also, just to make sure that it's not like the old trust but verify. So we will certainly take those things into consideration, but we do need the contact information from the person that's supplying that information on your behalf.
Thank you. Mark, do you want to ask your question?
Sure. Thank you guys for doing this tonight, by the way, too. So I have I don't know if it's a unique situation or not, but Amber happens to be my advisor, phenomenal advisor. But I'm in a unique role, I think, where U of L graciously, or I'll say graciously, they accepted the mountain of credits that I actually sent over. So this class is more of something that it's like a box I have to tick off. Not one credit that I could earn would actually go towards anything that I need to reduce. I can't use anything. I have to complete the courses that are specific to graduate. So whether it's 0 credits or 48 credits, I can't use any of those. So I'm not quite sure. Obviously, I need the 3 credits from this class, but I'm not quite sure how I go about what I do for everything. And Professor Buskill is my professor for this coming term. So I don't know if I just work with him and what to do. I'm not trying to get out of any less work, but I'm not quite sure what I look to ask for, because none of those credits will do anything.
Yeah, Mark, this is Roger. Yeah, you will still have the work to do as far as the other
Sure.
assignments are concerned, but the route that you would take, you will have a different type of credit request. It's a course requirement that you have to request 9 credit hours,
Sure.
but
Okay.
you do that through the training method, and you would fill out a worksheet, and you would simply put any 3 courses that you've had prior credit for, such as from another college, and you would use those as your 9 credit hours. And then there's a different worksheet that you would use instead of the specialization credit request. All of that's explained on the website when you go through that. If you look at the training method of PLA, it'll about halfway down, it'll go through all of that.
Perfect.
So if you have 0 hours that you need to request, don't ask me why, but you still got to request 9. But there's a procedure that you go through to do that.
Okay. Cool. I mean, I have lots of work experience, but it just won't do me any good. So
right, we call it reclassification, and you certainly could ask for more credits if you wanted to, but it's kind of more like, there's a cupcake and there's icing on top, and then you start putting sprinkles on it. That would just be sprinkles. There's no real taste to that, and it doesn't help. However, this course is truly designed to help you reacclimate to the academic setting. So if you've been in for years and years, that won't necessarily benefit you. But this is a full-on evaluation, a life learning narrative, a work autobiography that really kind of encompasses your career to help you understand how you've evolved into you. I always kind of classify this as it helps you look inside the box so you can start to think outside the box. In essence, it helps you understand what you know, how you learned it, and then you can use that expertise and kind of reflection to then go forward into these other classes with a lot more perspective and knowledge to move forward very effectively as a student.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Could you talk to a little bit about the amendment process for someone who maybe isn't finished with a course at the time that their 300 or 307 wraps up, or somebody who needs more credit later in the process?
Yeah, so let me hit that one, Roger. And basically what that is, if you didn't get all the credits you needed and you need a couple more, and you're actually going through your experience as a student, but also working, sometimes you will take medical coding or some experience that you don't necessarily have done today, but you will before you graduate. You can always pull that back in via a prior learning assessment amendment. It's a one-time process where you can get additional credits from things that you've done between when you started and when you finish. That will go towards your degree if you need additional credits. Now, if you do the class, you get all the credits you need, you've covered the gap to graduate on time, that's great. but know that you have a one-time amendment right before graduation or before a year before graduation to knock those out and to make sure you finish strong.
Excellent, thank you. And then I know Susan and Amber, you guys have been great in the chat with answering Holly's question about advice for folks who have been out of school for a while. Do any of our other presenters on the call have any words of wisdom for students who might be returning after a lengthy absence from higher ed?
I always call our program a solidarity movement. What I mean by that is we're walking side by side, and that means the instructors as well as the students. And you all are dealing with crazy stuff in your life. Like, this is grilled cheese times 10. You know, like, we know your lives are crazy. So we acknowledge that and we stand side by side, all of us moving forward together. And when one of us falls, we pick each other up and keep moving towards the finish line. So know that you develop your network of people, both in your class, in person or online, and just connect with them in a way that they're going to hold you accountable, lift you up when you're down, and cover the gap as needed. So just know that we've got your back all the way through. This group of faculty is different than the rest of the University of Louisville. It's because we truly know what you're dealing with and what you're going to navigate. So something's going to go wrong in life, but we want to help you push through that and get to finish line.
Yeah, this is Roger. Don't wait. If you're running into an issue with something, life happens, or you're totally feel that you're totally lost, get with your instructor. Don't wait for 2 or 3 weeks until it's really becomes a crisis. Communicate with that instructor right away, because we're here to help you through that. So a lot of these are not going to be easy, but they're certainly manageable. Every single student that takes the course will have a plan to pass it.
I wanted to add just a quick thing from a different lens. I was an adult student as well and went back, did a graduate degree, and it's all about reacclimating, to college. So it's about just changing one hat to another, and time management keys, communications key. And Amber Yoakum, one of our advisors, is on. Probably the most important thing you can do is pick up the phone, call or text, or email your faculty member if you have an issue, and they don't care what it is. Our faculty on this call today are above and beyond the best in the university because they care. So don't ever hesitate. I want to encourage you to take that phone call them, text them, email them, whatever you need to do, but don't hesitate. They're exceptional.
Thank you, Susan. And I will push your academic advisor as a first point of contact as well. They are with you through all of your instructors and, all of your ups and downs. And they are equipped to help you come back and acclimate to college, period. So like I say, they are great, and our advising team is superb. So anyway, I know it is right at 8 o'clock. So again, thank you for joining us. I do want to turn it over to Susan so she can do our basketball giveaway. And then I know I have a couple minutes. I can hang around if there are any last minute questions. But again, since we're so close to the start of classes, please feel free to reach out to your instructors with any questions you may have as well. So Susan, they're all yours.
All right. Thank you, Dr. McKinley. Well, hopefully you guys can see the screen. So basically you're now on the wheel of names if you haven't used that before. And I've plugged everyone in. I have a few phone numbers that are on the call, and I don't know your names, but I did use the last 4 digits. So hopefully you're still on the call with us. And basically we're just going to spin the wheel. This is for the winner of the autographed basketball, and I'll get that sent to you, whoever this is. And it looked close. Jennifer. All right. So Jennifer, I'll be reaching out to you tomorrow, getting a physical mailing address for you, and we'll make sure you get the basketball that is autographed by both of our head coaches at the University of Louisville, men's and women's basketball teams. Congratulations. And we've got a couple other swag gifts, and I'll be, it was the first 5 that registered or signed in tonight. So those 5, I'll also be reaching out to you, getting your mailing address, and we'll be sending you some swag bags. So congratulations. We're excited for all of you.
All right. And congrats for everyone who was super prompt. So you can enjoy your swag bag. Again, thank you again for joining us. Feel free to reach out with any email questions. If there are any last minute questions, we'll hang on for a couple minutes, but otherwise enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. Dr. Bergman, go deal with your preschooler.
Thank you all.
Go Cards.
I'm gonna go have my grilled cheese now.
I'm not going to lie. I had one for dinner and I put pickles on it.
Oh, pickles.
An adult grilled cheese, if you will.
How do we know how many credits that we will get for our prior, or how we figure out how many hours we get?
You'll go through the class and we'll help you navigate the process of extracting pieces and parts of your life to determine the number that you actually need. And the advisors will do a degree audit so that they will basically lay out the goal for you. And then the professor in the class will help you navigate to get to that goal.
Yeah, Tyler put up the specialization credit request worksheet where the student requests those number of hours in those different categories based on documentation that they have developed. One thing you would notice on that is there is no place for the student to sign. There's a place for the instructor to sign. So we will definitely know that you will get the college credit, because we're not going to let you get past that until we review all the documentation and we're assured that you will be able to get it. So it's the key document is that worksheet specialization credit request based on all the documentation that you have to put together to make that request.
Okay, I know that y'all, a lot of it is military. I spent 25 years in law enforcement, and I have all my certificates. Is that a little easier to prove than most other?
Way easier. Your process is going to be easier than half the people in the class.
All right. Plus, I worked for Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance for a while, and I got training from the Southern Farm Bureau, and I'm a licensed claims adjuster. So
yeah, so you'll get to be picky about what you submit. You got lots.
Okay.
Somebody might ask you if they can impersonate you and use some of your credits.
All right.
Yeah, Kenneth, one thing you want to do is make sure you take a look at that education plan. That's the starting point, because that's going to let you know how many credits that you can request, upper level and lower level.
Okay. I was the chief of police in our hometown, and I spent 7 years or 8 years at that, and I've got a lot of supervisory stuff that we had on that. So.
Well, I don't see any problem with you.
All right. Then, like I said, I've been out of it. They actually taught me into teaching high school law enforcement, a career pathway in that. My buddy of mine was principal, and like I said, I've been out of school for 25 years, so it's kind of hard. It's been hard for me. So
we'll try to make it as smooth of a transition as possible. We know that you're a teacher, so we'll try and treat you like working it all as well. So.
Well, I'll class myself as an instructor. I'm not a teacher, so yeah. I just show them what I've done in the past. But I appreciate y'all for. All right, then. Thank you all.
See ya.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Enjoy your Thursday evenings, and we will see you soon.
Thanks,
Night,
Tyler.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks, Susan, for setting all this up. Sorry again for being late, folks. I really apologize.
No problem, man.